JUDY, Fright Night, original cast.
Fright Night, written and directed by Tom Holland. Fade in. Exterior, full moon, night. Clouds obscure the starless heavens for a moment, heavy and ominous in the black firmament. Then, suddenly they clear, exposing a full moon streaked with red like a killer's face. A stalking moon staring down at man's evil on earth below. A howl breaks the night. A wolf pursuing its prey perhaps, or perhaps something much, much worse.
What was that?
Just a child of the night, Jonathan.
Exterior, Rancho Corvalis, night. We pan from a darkened, middling-sized town, lost somewhere in the southwest, down a darkened, typical middle-class suburban street. Continuing past several houses. One large, old, foreboding, its windows dark and vacant, a for sale sign on the lawn with a sold sign just beneath it. The other smaller home next to it, in sharp contrast to the first house, newly painted, its lawn neatly shorn. We push in closer on the smaller home, searching for the source of the voices.
Come, sit here beside me on the veranda.
It's chilly out here.
Oh, no, it isn't. It's beautiful. I love the night so.
I've never seen you look so beautiful before, Nina. So pale, so luminescent, so...
We push in closer on the smaller home, searching for the source of the voices, continuing up and through the second-floor window.
Yes?
Your lips are so red.
Are they? Would you like to kiss them?
The sound of a long, drawn-out kiss.
Why are you looking at me so strangely, Nina?
We pass the billowing drapes to find ourselves staring at a TV, the flickering screen the only light in the room. Interior, Brewster house, Charley's room, night. One of those AIF Hammer-type horror films is on the tube. A woman, obviously a vampire, talking to one of those vapid juveniles.
Not you, Jonathan. Your neck. Has anyone ever told you it was beautiful?
No.
Come. Lay your head on my breast.
The young man rests his head against her, incredibly enough, unaware that she is bending toward his neck with huge fangs. Just as she about to sink them into his jugular, a tall, saturnine man steps out of the darkness, wearing a rather daffy Victorian suit. He opens his vampire kit slung over his shoulder and grabs a crucifix, mallet, and wooden stake, holding the crucifix dramatically in front of him. This man is Peter Vincent.
Stop, you creature of the night.
Miss Nina hisses.
Who are you who interrupts my nightly feeding?
I am Peter Vincent, vampire killer.
He rushes her, the stake held high to plunge into her breast.
Keep away! Keep away from me!
We turn away from the TV as the sounds of the movie crossfade with the sounds of heavy breathing. Charley Brewster and Amy Peterson, two 16-year-olds, are on the floor, wedged between the bed and the window and making out like crazy.
And now, your host, Peter Vincent.
The horror movie has faded out to be replaced by the interior of a local TV studio, a tacky graveyard the centerpiece, the visage of Peter Vincent, much older now, rising out of a cheap wooden coffin, fills the screen.
This is Peter Vincent, bringing you Fright Night Theater.
Charley, totally oblivious to the TV, works on Amy's bra, trying to get it undone. Amy tries to distract him.
Charley, Peter Vincent's on.
Forget Peter Vincent.
But you love him.
But I love you more.
Amy giggles as Charley moves in.
Charley, stop it.
Tonight's journey into horror is Blood Castle. It is one of my favorites, and for a very good reason. I star in it.
He laughs over dramatically as Charley finally gets Amy's bra undone.
Charley, I said stop it.
Charley jumps up, standing by the window.
Damn it, Amy, give me a break. We've been going together almost a year, and all I ever hear is Charley, stop it.
The sounds of Fright Night Theater breaks the silence.
I'm I'm sorry, Amy.
Me too. I'm just scared, that's all.
Charley nods as she moves to him at the open window and steps into his arms, kissing him as she never has before. She breaks and looks into his eyes.
Let's get into bed.
You mean it?
They kiss, the two of them slowly turning, Charley facing the window to the side yard next door, over Amy's shoulder. There, below, he sees two shadowy figures carrying what looks very much like a coffin toward the cellar doors of the house next door. Amy slips out of his arms and onto the bed. She starts to take off her blouse. He has his binoculars up and glued to the weird scene outside his window as Amy lays uncomfortably back on the bed, looking up at him.
Charley, I'm ready.
The figures are too dark to make out clearly, but they are Jerry Dandridge and Billy Cole.
Amy, you're not gonna believe this, but there are two guys out in the yard below. I think they're carrying a coffin.
Amy looks at the TV to see a similar scene of some men carrying a coffin through a fog-shrouded landscape.
Sure. And they're on the moors, right?
Amy, I'm serious.
So am I. Do you want to make love or not?
The two figures below, having gotten the cellar doors open, carry the coffin into the basement of the house.
Amy, quick, come on, you gotta see this.
The bedroom door slams shut. He whirls to find her gone. Charley runs out and scrambles down the stairs after her.
Amy? Okay, maybe it wasn't a coffin, but I did see two guys carrying something into that house.
I don't understand you. First you want to make love, and then you don't.
They reach the bottom of the stairs, only to have a voice from the living room stop them.
Amy? Charley? What's wrong?
They stop, turning to stare through the doorway at Charley's mother, Judy Brewster, sitting in the living room watching the 10 o'clock news.
Nothing, Mom.
Come in here, you two.
Living room, night.
Are you kids having a lover's spat?
No, Mom, nothing like that.
Well, there's nothing wrong with it. It says right here, the divorce rate is 76% higher among couples who don't argue before marriage.
Mom, we're in high school.
Well, it never hurts to plan ahead. Oh, Amy, will you remind your mother we are playing poker at her house this weekend?
Yes, Mrs. Brewster. Well, good night, Charley.
Yeah, good night.
He moves toward the window that stares out at the house next door.
Good night, Mrs. Brewster.
Good night, Amy. Thanks for helping Charley with his homework.
Anytime. See you tomorrow, Charley.
He continues to stare out the window. Amy turns and stomps out of the room, the front door slamming behind her.
Charley, that wasn't very nice, not walking Amy to the front door.
Mom, there are people next door.
Oh, I guess the new owner's moving in.
What new owner?
Oh, didn't I tell you? Bob Hopkins said he finally got rid of the place.
Well, who'd he sell it to?
I don't know. Some fellow who fixes up houses for a living. Supposed to be very attractive, though. I just hope whoever he is, he knows what he's getting into with his house. It's going to take a lot of work just to make it livable.
We leave them behind, pushing in tighter and tighter on the TV Judy was watching, their voices replaced by the newscaster.
And now for the local news. A man was found murdered tonight behind the railroad yards. Details are pending, awaiting notification of next of kin.
Exterior, high school, day. Kids are flooding out of the classrooms as Charley comes out of one of them, holding a test paper. Another kid comes out right behind him, holding a test paper with a big A+ on it. It's Evil Ed Thompson.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. Have a good weekend.
Bastard! Why didn't he tell us he was gonna spring a pop quiz?
Well, that's the point to a pop quiz, Brewster. To surprise you.
Thanks, Teach.
Suddenly, Amy charges between them, pushing them apart and disappearing into the crowd.
Hey, Amy! Amy!
She finally found out what you're really like.
Buzz off, Evil.
Call me anything you want. Only you're the one failing Trig, not me, okay?
He walks off. Exterior, street, day. Charley pulls his red beater 68 Mustang into the driveway. He gets out, carrying his school books, and heads for the front door. Just as he bends down to pick up the evening paper, a cab pulls up and a girl gets out. Charley stops cold. She is definitely one of the most spectacular women he's ever seen. She smiles at him, looking like a little girl lost.
Oh, is this 99 Oak?
No, it's next door.
Oh, thanks.
Charley watches the girl disappear into the Dandridge house with a low whistle of appreciation. Interior, Brewster house, dining room, day. Judy is setting the table for dinner.
Hey, Mom.
Yeah, I'm in here.
Have you seen the new guy next door yet?
No, but I did hear he's got a live-in carpenter. With my luck, he's probably gay.
No, I don't think so.
Why? What do you know that I don't?
Oh, nothing. I gotta go study. I'll see you later.
He cuts a beeline for his room.
Study? You?
Dissolve to Charley's room, night. He's hard at work at his desk when over his shoulder a light comes on behind the drawn shade of the bedroom window of the house next door. Suddenly, a woman's scream, high-pitched and terrified, shatters the night. Charley whirls, sending his books crashing to the floor, staring out his window at the lit window in the Dandridge house. The light snaps out, darkness blanking the entire wall of the Dandridge house. Dissolve to interior, fast food joint, day. It's the after-school hangout, a bunch of tables. Rock music playing in the background. Kids mill about, a TV blaring on the counter. Charley sits at a booth, trying to study, as Amy quietly slips in across from him.
Hi.
Hi. Look, I'm really sorry about the other night.
Oh, it was my fault, not yours.
It was? Look, Amy, I love you, and I never want to fight with you again, okay?
I'm so glad we're getting this straightened out. I've been miserable the last 2 days. You don't know what it's been like.
Over her shoulder, he suddenly sees on the TV a picture of a girl who looks very much like the one he saw going into the Dandridge house.
The second victim, whose body was found early this morning, was a known prostitute.
Not talking to you on the phone. Charley, are you listening to me?
He gets up and walks to the TV, staring up at it as the newscaster's voice runs over the picture of the girl.
She was positively identified as Cheryl Lane. The badly mutilated corpse was found under the North Creek Bridge by the old mill. As yet, the police have no leads.
Evil Ed steps up beside him.
Charley, you know what I heard on the police band last night?
What?
That wasn't the only murder. It's the second in 2 days. And get this. Both of them had their heads chopped off. Can you believe it?
You're sick.
Amy grabs a burger from a kid and approaches Charley.
Charley?
He turns, and she grinds the chili burger into his face and stomps off, leaving him standing there, his face dripping with chili, onions, and burger.
You're so cool, Brewster. I can't stand it.
Exterior, Brewster house, day. Charley parks his Mustang in the backyard and heads toward the back door. He stops, sets down his books, and studies the Dandridge house, looming over him. Interior, Dandridge house, basement, day. Billy Cole is painting over a basement window when he sees Charley slowly walking toward the house. Exterior, Brewster and Dandridge houses, day. Charley walks the distance to the storm doors, stopping above them, staring down at the handles. One quick glance around tells him the Dandridge house is deserted. He bends down and grabs the handles and starts to pull.
Hey, kid! What are you doing?
Charley jerks up, letting the doors thunk home. There on the front porch stands Billy Cole. He's big and solid, a threatening grin on his face.
Nothing?
Oh, yeah? Well, just make sure it stays that way, kid.
A terrified Charley turns and runs back to his house as Billy watches him go. Dissolve to exterior, Dandridge house, night. The two houses sit side by side. The Dandridge house has changed, although it's hard to say exactly how. It just seems worse than before. More abandoned, more hulking, more dead. Interior, Charley's room, night. Charley has the house next door staked out. He sits in a chair before his window, only a cheap horror film flickering on the TV. He brings his binoculars up to stare at the dark window of the house next door. Dissolved to Charley's room later that night. The TV is flickering snow now. Charley is now sound asleep, breathing deeply. Groggily, he sits up to find himself staring into the lit window of the bedroom next door. He can see clearly into the room as a beautiful young girl with alabaster skin and chestnut hair stands, framed in the window, slowly taking her blouse off. She undoes her bra, letting it fall to the floor, leaving her bare breasts showing. Jerry Dandridge steps out of the shadows behind the girl, sweeping her hair back, exposing her tender young neck as he slowly leans down as though to kiss her. Jerry's upper lip slowly begins to pull back, revealing just the hint of fangs, long, razor-sharp, and sparkling pearly white in the moonlight. Suddenly, Jerry stops, the fangs poised an inch above the girl's throat. He slowly raises his head, staring out the window into Charley's bedroom. Charley gasps in horror as he retreats into the darkness of his room, as Jerry slowly walks to the window, never breaking his gaze with Charley, reaches up and slowly pulls down the shade, revealing long, claw-like fingers. The binoculars slip from Charley's hand, crashing to the floor, and he whirls around, racing out of the room. Judy's room, night. He bursts through the door to find his mother, sound asleep in bed.
Mom, you gotta get up, Mom. I can't believe what's happening next door.
What? What are you talking about?
He has fangs. The guy who bought the house has fangs.
Oh, fangs. That's lovely, Charley. I have to get up at 7 tomorrow.
He hears a car door slam in the yard next door and jumps to the window, peering out into the back of the Dandridge house just in time to see Billy Cole walking away from a shiny new black Cherokee Jeep, its back door left open. Charley dashes out of the room.
Fangs? Charley?
Charley pounds down the stairs and flies down the hall toward the back door. Exterior, Brewster and Dandridge houses, night. Charley slips out his back door and through the darkness into the adjoining yard. There, among a clump of bushes, he crouches down. Suddenly, the back door to the Dandridge house opens, and Billy comes out carrying a large bundle in a plastic trash bag over his shoulder. He dumps it in the back of the Jeep, as suddenly there is a terrific whoosh over Charley's head, the beating of large wings above causing the bushes around him to bend and sway. Charley lifts his head, peering about to see a shape step out of the darkness. It's Jerry Dandridge. He glides toward the Jeep, tossing Billy a woman's purse.
You forgot something.
Billy one-hands it out of the air as Jerry takes a juicy bite of an apple. Just then, the back door to Charley's house opens, sending a shaft of light into the darkness. Judy Brewster stands in the doorway.
Charley?
Jerry and Billy freeze, both of them whirling around to look at the Brewster house.
Charley?
Jerry takes a step forward, his eyes probing the murky blackness. He tosses the apple, landing directly in front of Charley. As Jerry takes a few steps in his direction, a terrified Charley suddenly leaps to his feet and races back into his house, pushing Judy back through the door and running in. Billy steps forward to follow the boy, but Jerry puts out a hand, stopping him. Interior, Brewster house, kitchen, night. Charley sits at the kitchen table, his mother putting a cup of hot cocoa on the table.
I hate cooking things in the microwave. It never melts the marshmallows right.
Mom, I don't need hot...
Drink that.
Oh, sorry.
Once again.
Sorry.
Drink that.
Mom, I don't need hot cocoa. I didn't have a nightmare. They did kill a girl over there.
Oh, how late did you stay up studying?
I'm not sick. The guy did have fangs, and a bat did fly over my head, and a second later, he stepped out of the shadows. Don't you see what that means?
Oh, wait, let me guess. Oh, what?
He's a vampire.
Oh, a what?
Match cut to interior, Amy's house, day.
A what?
A vampire? Damn it, haven't you listened to anything I've said?
Charley, is this some kind of trick to get me back?
Forget it. I'm going to the police.
Charley, you can't go to the police with a story like that. They'll lock you up.
All right, then. I won't tell them it's a vampire, but I sure as hell am going to tell them about the two women.
Charley!
He slams out the back door. Exterior, street, day. A police car pulls up in front of the Dandridge house. Charlie in a red Mustang right behind him. Charlie exits his car and runs to Lieutenant Detective LENNOX.
You sure about this now?
Charlie nods, and the cop turns and heads toward the house, Charlie following. Exterior, Dandridge house, day. Lieutenant LENNOX knocks on the door and the door opens, revealing Billy Cole.
Yes?
Mr. Dandridge?
No, I'm his roommate, Billy Cole.
Lieutenant LENNOX, homicide. Mind if we come in?
No, not at all. Come on in.
Interior, Dandridge house, day. The house is a mess of moving boxes and heavy Victorian furniture scattered everywhere. A number of the pieces still under white dust covers. Clocks line one wall, none of them working, all set at 6 p.m.
This is quite a place you have here.
Yeah, we're restoring it.
Where's Mr. Dandridge?
He's away on business. Is there anything I can help you with?
There was a murder last night. Charlie lives next door. Thinks he saw the victim in this house.
Well, that's impossible. I was here with Jerry all last night. There's nobody else in the house.
Charlie looks into a crate.
That's a lie. I saw him carry a body out in a plastic bag.
What do you say to that, Mr. Cole?
The kid's obviously crazy, officer. I did take some bags out last night, but they were full of trash.
Pulling out packing material, Charlie reveals an old painting of a girl who looks just like Amy, only she's dressed for the 1700s.
Amy?
Here, let me show you.
Look, the bag I saw had a body in it, not trash.
Oh, you, actually see the body, Charlie, huh?
Well, no, but...
Okay. Look, let me take you out back. I'll show you the bags I put in the truck. God, sorry. Oh, my God. It's like I got 15 lines. Okay. Look, let me take you out back. I'll show you the bags I put in the garbage.
Okay. Let's see them.
Look, I can prove he's lying. Let's look in the basement instead.
What's down there?
Yes, Charlie. What's down there?
Billy stares Charlie down.
Well, obviously the boys made a mistake, officer. You know how kids do.
A coffin! That's what's down there, a coffin. I saw them carry it in.
What?
Yeah, and you'll find Jerry Dandridge in it, sleeping the sleep of the undead.
Ooh. Billy laughs.
For heaven, what are you talking about?
He's a vampire.
Uh-oh.
I saw him in that room last night. He had fangs, and he bit her on the neck.
Billy whistles and makes the sign of the cross.
For heaven's sake. Come on.
What are you talking about? Wait, we can't just leave like this.
I've got a coffin for you.
The cop pulls Charlie out the door and hustles him down the walk. Exterior, street, day.
Lieutenant, please listen to me. I'm telling you, Jerry Dandridge is a vampire.
Sure, and I'm Dirty Harry. Now, let me tell you something, kid. If I ever catch your ass down at the station house again, I'm throwing it in jail. Forever.
Lieutenant, please, come on, just listen to me for a sec.
LENNOX hops in his car, slamming the door behind him as Charlie hovers by the window.
Look, I know it's crazy, I know that, but Lieutenant!
The car roars away as Charlie hears footsteps in the upper porch of the Dandridge house and whirls to find himself staring at Billy Cole, looking back at him. Charlie slowly backs away from him toward his car and glances up at the sky overhead. The light is beginning to fade. He checks his watch. It's 4 in the afternoon. He looks back at Billy Cole, then leaps into his car and tears off down the street. Interior, Evil Ed's room, day. Evil Ed sits at his desk, hand-painting a monster model of a ghoul. Evil's room is a veritable museum of horror. Movie posters of Frankenstein, Dracula, and the Wolfman dotting the wall, the shelves full of monsters and models, the floor littered with horror comics. Charlie barges in and skids to a halt.
Evil!
And to what do I owe this dubious pleasure?
The vampire knows that I know about him. Or at least he will when he wakes up tonight.
What are you talking about?
I have a vampire living next door to me, and he's gonna kill me if I don't protect myself.
What?
Come on, Evil, I haven't got time to explain. Just tell me what to do to protect myself.
Oh, God. Very funny, Brewster.
Evil, please. I'm not kidding. Tell me what to do.
Don't call me evil anymore. Why should I help you anyway?
Look, I've got $8. Help me, and it's yours.
Evil Ed sweeps the money into his pocket.
far be it from me to turn down a fool's money. Now, where and when do you expect the vampire to attack?
In my bedroom, tonight.
Evil Ed pulls a dime store cross from his desk.
Start with this. But you must have total faith in it for it to work. Then get some garlic, links of the stuff that you can wear around your neck and hang from your window. If he comes for you, that'll be the way. Then, of course, there's holy water. But you gotta get a priest to say a blessing over it first.
That's it?
I'm afraid so. Your best protection right now, Chuck, is that a vampire cannot enter your house without being invited by the rightful owner first.
You sure about that?
Positive.
Thank you. Thank you.
Charlie runs out. Interior, Charlie's room, night. Charlie finishes nailing shut his window, then steps back and tests it. It's secure.
Charlie, could you come down here a minute, please? There's someone I'd like you to meet.
Yeah, Mom.
Living room, night. He walks into the living room to find his mother standing there, a drink in her hand.
Charlie, this is our next door neighbor, Jerry Dandridge.
Charlie freezes. Jerry, sitting in a chair, rises to reveal himself.
Hello, Charlie.
Charlie just stares at him in horror.
Well, Charlie, don't be rude. Shake hands.
Charlie slowly moves to Jerry and takes his hand, shaking it as one would the hand of a recently disinterred corpse.
What's he doing here?
Oh, I invited him over for a drink.
What?
I invited him over. Why?
What's the matter, Charlie? Afraid I'd never come over without being invited first?
Jerry and Judy laugh.
Oh, you're right. You're quite right. Of course, now that I've been made welcome, I'll probably drop by quite a bit. In fact, anytime I feel like it. With your mother's kind permission, of course.
Oh, Jerry, anytime. It's so nice someone interesting has finally moved into the neighborhood.
Charlie backs away, terrified.
Charlie, are you all right?
Yeah, fine. I just gotta get back to my trig, that's all.
Nice to meet you, Charlie. See ya. Soon.
Charlie bolts out of the room, falling over furniture and pounding up the stairway. Dissolved to exterior, Dandridge house, night. The old house wrapped in fog as the wind whips around its eaves. That foreboding feeling has now turned to evil. Interior, Brewster house, Judy's room, night. Judy is sound asleep, a sleeping mask over her eyes. Darkness and silence, and nothing else but moonlight spilling through the window at the far end of the hall. Then the sound of wings as a shadow crosses. Charlie is sound asleep in his room, holding his cross, suddenly jolted awake by the sound of footsteps on the roof. He jumps up, listening to the sound of someone or something walking. Hallway, night. He peers around the corner. Nothing. He tiptoes to the top of the stairs and looks around the living room. Nothing but shadows. Then he hears it, a noise from the floor below. It sounds like fingernails scratching across glass. He creeps down the stairs. Then he sees it, the source of the scratching sound. A tree branch, caressed by the wind as it's blown back and forth across a pane of glass. Charlie breathes a sigh of relief. Judy's room, night. Jerry Dandridge stands above Judy, an open window behind him, staring down at her sleeping peacefully in the bed. He glides across the room past Judy's bureau, past the wall mirror without leaving a reflection, and out the door with unnatural silence. Hallway, night. Jerry closes the door behind him, giving it a sharp tug that dislodges it from its hinges and moves across the hall toward the open door to Charlie's bedroom, entering while he whistles Strangers in the Night.
I know the tune. It's the whistler that's not working. Anybody.
I got it.
No one can whistle, huh?
I can.
Go for it,
Very
man.
good.
Too high. Now I'm worn out. Okay.
Thank you, Jack.
Little lyrics and everything.
I didn't know that was a sound. I couldn't get it up.
Charlie walks down the hall and disappears into his own room. He shuts the door softly behind him, notices a light in the Dandridge house opposite his room, which turns off. As he watches for any activity, the closet door opens silently behind him, revealing Jerry Dandridge. Charlie quickly turns to find himself facing Jerry. The vampire's hand whips out with blinding speed and seizes him by the throat.
No, we wouldn't want to wake your mother, would we, Charlie? Then I'd have to kill her, too.
Jerry flings the boy the length of the room with inhuman strength, slamming him into the closet. Charlie slips to the floor, all the air knocked out of him. Jerry reaches down and grabs the boy by the throat, pulling him up to face him.
Do you realize how much trouble you've caused me? Spying on me? Almost disturbing my sleep this afternoon? Telling the policeman about me?
He slams him against the opposite wall, Charlie's legs dangling several feet above the floor, kicking.
You deserve to die, boy. Of course, I could give you something I don't have. A choice. Forget about me, Charlie. Forget about me, and I'll forget about you. What do you say, Charlie?
Charlie reaches into his pocket, whips out his cross, holding it up and thrusting it into Dandridge's face. Jerry's other hand snaps out and grabs Charlie by the wrist, holding the hand with the cross and beginning to apply pressure.
Fool.
Jerry tightens his grip as Charlie writhes in agony, the cross slipping from his fingers and falling to the floor. Jerry easily flicks off the lock and yanks up the nailed window. He begins to slowly push Charlie out the window. The boy cranes his neck, glancing over his shoulder. The hard ground is a good 30 feet below. He turns back to the vampire, fighting for a handhold, grabbing the window frame with one hand, trying to keep himself from falling. His fingers begin to slip as he searches desperately for a handhold. From a nearby dresser, he grabs a picture of Amy, pulling it out the window as it falls to the fence below, skewering itself on a pointed slat. Jerry continues his assault as Charlie's fingers find a pencil and he slams the point down through Jerry's hand. Jerry wails in pain as he whirls away from him, the pencil protruding from the back of his hand. He grabs and pulls it out, then turning back to Charlie, his face is no longer human, letting out an unearthly scream that blows Charlie back against the wall.
Charlie! 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 Can you hear me?
Jerry's head whips back and forth between the door to the hall and Charlie.
Charlie? Charlie, is that you? Charlie, my door is stuck.
The vampire whirls and runs out, the curtains blowing wildly, the sound of powerful wings beating away into the night air.
Charlie!
Charlie runs into the hallway, looking out the window into the night, then slams it shut to find Judy stumbling out of her room.
Charlie, what is going on?
Oh, nothing. I just had a nightmare.
Oh. You know, I had one last night. It was awful. I was at this white sale and I suddenly realized I was stark naked.
They both hear a crash from outside his window.
Now what is it?
Charlie grabs her, gently pushing her back.
Nothing, just raccoons in the garbage can. Why don't you go back to sleep?
But, sweetie, what about your nightmare? Do you want a Valium?
I'm fine now, honest.
Well, I do need my sleep. I start the night shift tomorrow. 3 o'clock in the morning. It's so bad for my complexion.
Hi, Mom.
He pushes her through the bedroom door and closes it, then goes to the window and checks. Nothing out there. Charlie's room, night. He clicks on the TV as he paces the room, lost in thought. It's Fright Night theater again. He's about to lean over and turn it off when the phone suddenly rings by his side. He picks up the receiver and just listens. Interior, Dandridge, bedroom, night. Blood slowly drips into a bowl of water as we pan up to see the source of it. It's Jerry's bloody hand.
I know you're there, Charlie. I can see you.
Charlie slowly turns, staring out his window. There, in the window of the house next door, stands Jerry, the phone to his ear, staring back at Charlie.
What's the matter, Charlie? Scared? You started this, Charlie. And now I'm going to finish it.
Billy kneels at his side, solicitously bandaging his injured hand.
I just destroyed your car, Charlie. But that's nothing compared to what I'm going to do to you tomorrow night.
He hangs up, slowly drawing the shade, blanking out the lit window.
And once again, your host, Peter Vincent.
Charlie hangs up the phone. On the TV, the horror flick dissolves as Peter Vincent comes on.
Good evening, horror fans. Did you know there are a lot of people who do not believe in vampires? But I do, because I know they exist. I have fought them in all their guises.
Charlie straightens, his gaze suddenly riveted to the screen.
Man, wolves, bats, and I have always won. That is why they call me the Great Vampire Killer. Now, watch me do it.
The horror flick resumes, a much younger Peter flinging open a coffin to reveal its sleeping contents, then staking it through the heart, blood spattering his face.
Go, Peter. Go.
Dissolved to exterior, studio entrance, day. Charlie paces back and forth as a dejected Peter Vincent comes out of the studio dressed in his street clothes, his vampire kit slung over his shoulder, heading towards his car as Charlie runs to meet him.
Mr. Vincent?
Peter ignores him and keeps walking.
Mr. Vincent, could I talk to you for a minute? Please, Mr. Vincent, it's very, very important.
What do you want me to sign?
Pardon me?
Well, you do want my autograph, don't you?
No. No, sir, I was curious about what you said last night on TV, you know, about believing in vampires.
What about it?
Were you serious?
Well, absolutely. Unfortunately, none of your generation seems to be.
What do you mean?
I have just been fired because nobody wants to see vampire killers anymore. Or vampires either. Apparently, all they want are demented madmen running around in ski masks, hacking up young virgins. Now, if you'll excuse me.
I believe in vampires.
That's nice. If only there'd been a few more of you, perhaps my ratings would have been higher.
In fact, I have one living next door to me. Would you help me kill him?
Pardon me?
You know the murder of that girl that happened a few days ago?
Yes?
The guy who lives next door to me did it. And he's a vampire.
If this is your idea of a joke, I am not amused.
Mr. Vincent, I'm not joking. I'm deadly serious.
Peter stares at him for a beat and decides Charlie's crazy.
Well, if you'll excuse me.
But, Mr. Vincent, you have to believe me. I'm telling the truth. Come on, you just said you believed in vampires.
I lied. Now, you leave me alone.
Please, you have to listen to me. The vampire tried to kill me last night and trashed my car when he didn't succeed. Now he's gonna be back after me tonight, Mr. Vincent, and if I don't get help, he's gonna kill me.
Peter shoves him aside, hopping into his car, quickly locking the door behind him. As he starts the engine, Charlie beats on the window.
Mr. Vincent, please, just listen to me for a second.
Peter hauls ass out of the lot and disappears down the street.
No, wait! Mr. Vincent, wait!
End Act 1.
Nice job, everybody.
Ready? And action!
Well, you can't blame me, can you? Would you believe such a story? Of course not. Vampires. Posh. Such silliness. They don't exist. Of course, I'd never tell any of my fans that. After all, I am Peter Vincent, the great vampire hunter. I'm a great actor, and actors have to maintain the illusion of being the character they play in the movies. No matter what I do, I can't disappoint my fans, ever.
And now, for a recap of today's news. Yesterday, a man was found murdered behind the railroad yards. And today, a badly mutilated corpse was found under the North Creek Bridge by the old mill. As yet, the police have no leads. What's that, Fred? We're off the air. I can't believe this. 2 murders in 2 days in Rancho Corvalis where nothing ever happens. And both of them were decapitated? What is going on? What?
A good question, isn't it? I'm as anxious as you to find out. And now for Act 2 of Fright Night. As Jeffrey Dandridge says, for real. Exterior, Brewster house, day. Amy rides up on her moped just as Evil Ed starts up the front walk toward Charlie's house.
What are you doing here?
Me? What about you? I thought you just dumped him.
What I'm doing here is none of your business.
Oh, so you do like him.
Interior, Charlie's room, day. Amy and Evil Ed walk through the door and stop. The room has been transformed from a normal, happy kids' room into an armed camp for a vampire assault. The window is nailed shut, candles on every available surface, strands of garlic hang from the windows. Dime store crosses and crucifixes are everywhere. Charlie sits at his desk, whittling a stake from a slat of fence, a hammer by his side.
What's all this for?
Self-defense. Not that I think I'll need it. He'll be dead before nightfall.
Who will be?
Dandridge. I'm waiting for the guy he lives with to leave, then I'm gonna go next door, find his coffin and pound this through his heart.
That's murder, Charlie.
You can't murder a vampire, Amy. They're already dead, remember? Listen, I just taped this.
He hits the play button on his tape deck, and a local radio newscast plays back.
Amy, what are we gonna do? This is just like Fright Night.
And now for the 2 o'clock news. Another body of a young woman was discovered early this morning in back of Sheraton Mall.
See that? I don't have any choice. Somebody has to stop him.
Charlie, it's going to be dangerous going into that house all alone, isn't it?
Charlie nods.
I mean, you're going to need all the help you can get, right? Somebody like Peter Vincent, for instance?
Yeah.
I tried him already. He said no.
Well, why don't you let us try again before you do anything?
There's not enough time, Amy.
Well, what happens if you go into that house all alone and he gets you? Who's going to stop him then?
Yeah. Then he'll be able to suck his way through the entire town. Not that it would be much of a loss.
Charlie, it's going to be dark soon. And you don't want to go into that house then, do you?
No, you're right there. All right, try him again.
Great. Now, you promise you're not going to do anything until you hear from us, okay?
Charlie nods.
Come on, Evil.
Amy, you don't believe me, do you?
I love you, Charlie.
Hey, Amy, come on!
Amy hurries out of the room. Interior, Peter Vincent's apartment, day. The place is small, but neat. The walls dotted with posters of his various movies, all in the horror genre, stretching back at least 3 decades. Peter grabs a letter from his kitchen counter and examines it, an order of eviction. Suddenly, there is a knock at his door. He opens it to reveal Amy and Evil Ed.
Yes?
Mr. Vincent, could we talk to you for a moment?
Well, I'm afraid now is not a good time.
Please? It's very important.
He stares at her, seeing the desperation in her eyes.
Well, if you would just wait there for one moment.
He steps back, closing the door behind him, doing a quick tidying up.
I'll come in. Now, what can I do for you? An autograph, perhaps, or perhaps an interview for your school newspaper?
I'm afraid this is much more important.
Oh, really? What could be more important than my autograph?
Saving a boy's life.
Yes, well, I can see why that could be more important, but perhaps, would you care to explain?
Do you remember a fruitcake kid named Charley Brewster? He said he came to see you.
No.
He's the one who believes a vampire is living next door to him?
Oh, yes, yes. You know, he is insane. Oh, my dear, I do hope he's not a friend of yours.
Yeah. She's got the hots for the creep.
She punches him in the shoulder.
Amy!
We need your help to stop him, Mr. Vincent. You see, he really does believe his next-door neighbor's a vampire. He's planning to kill him.
Yeah, with a stake through the heart.
Are you too serious? Oh, my dear, your friend needs a psychiatrist, not a vampire killer.
Please, Mr. Vincent.
I'm afraid not. You see, Hollywood beckons. I have just been offered a starring role in a major film. I've even had to quit Fright Night. So you see...
I'll give you money.
How much?
I have a $500 savings bond.
I'll take it. Now, how are we going to cure your little friend of this delusion?
I got it all figured out. We all go next door to the neighbor and you perform some kind of vampire test on him to pronounce him human. You know, like in Orgy of the Damned, where you looked in the mirror, the guy didn't have a reflection, and then you knew he was a vampire.
Yes. That was one of my favorite roles. Do you know, I still have the prop.
He pulls out a mirrored cigarette case and flips it open. Amy and Evil Ed smile. This will do just fine. Dissolved to interior, Dandridge house, night. All the clocks on the wall come to life in unison, ticking, signaling dusk has fallen and Jerry is awakening. The phone on the table, next to a bowl of fruit, rings as a hand reaches into frame and picks it up.
Yes?
A door is heard creaking on the floor above. Jerry appears out of the darkness, slowly walking down the stairway.
It's for you.
Jerry takes the phone from him.
Yes? Yes, this is Jerry Dandridge. I see. Well, yes, of course. I'm always willing to help young people, but I'm afraid that crosses are out of the question. You see, I've been reborn recently.
Billy and Jerry smile. Peter's apartment, night.
He's a reborn Christian. He thinks crosses would be sacrilegious.
Ask him about how he feels about holy water.
How about holy water? No, that won't do either.
Well, tell him it's just ordinary tap water. All he has to do is sip it.
Yes. Oh, yeah, yes, okay. Yes, that sounds fine, but don't bring him over till 7 tonight. I'll be out until then.
He hangs up, then turns to Billy.
Well, it seems we won't have to go out tonight after all. His friends are bringing him over at 7 to prove to him that I'm not a vampire.
He pops an orange slice into his mouth as they smile at their good fortune. Cut to exterior, Dandridge house, dusk into night. Charley, Evil Ed, and Amy stand in front of the house waiting as darkness slowly closes about them.
It's 6:10. He said he was going to be here at 6, right?
Relax. He said he'd be here. He'll be here.
Here he comes.
The kids rush the car as Peter pulls up and Amy opens his door for him.
Oh, thank you.
Peter gets out of the car. He wears his vampire killer regalia, the Victorian suit.
Ah, Charley Brewster, I presume. Peter Vincent, vampire killer.
Mr. Vincent, I can't tell you how much I appreciate this.
Good evening. Good evening. Now, down to business. Where is the lair of the suspected creature of the night.
There.
Oh, yes. I see what you mean. There is a distinct possibility.
He produces a small crystal vial of holy water from his pocket and shows it to Charley.
Now, shall we go?
Wait a minute. Where's your stakes and hammers?
Oh, I left them in my bag.
You're not going in there without them.
But I have to prove he is a vampire before I kill him, Charlie.
Look, I know he's a vampire.
I am the one that has to know, Charlie.
How are you going to do that?
Peter holds the bottle up for Charley to see.
This is holy water. Now, if a drop touches him, he will blister. In this case, I have asked him to drink it while we all watch. He readily agreed.
Yeah, but Mr. Vincent, if I'm right and you prove he's a vampire, he's gonna kill us all right then and there.
Peter knocks on the front door.
No, he won't, Charlie. After all, I am here to protect you. I am Peter Vincent.
Yeah, I know, Mr. Vincent.
Billy Cole opens the door.
Hey, Peter Vincent. Billy Cole. This is a pleasure. Won't you all come in?
He steps back as Peter, Evil Ed, and Amy enter the house. Charley has no choice but to follow as Billy greets Amy and Evil Ed. Billy waits for Charley, looming over him as the teen slips past him and into the house. Interior, Dandridge House, night. Billy turns and yells up the stairs. All the clocks behind him are ticking madly. The hour 7 sharp.
Hey, Jer. They're here.
Several seconds pass. Then...
Perhaps he didn't hear you.
Oh, he heard me all right.
Suddenly, a step creaks at the top of the staircase where the shadows are the heaviest. Jerry Dandridge descends. First his elegant shoes, then his legs with their fashionable pants, and finally the rest of him, all beautifully turned out. He's eating an apricot as he stares down at them.
Ah, Mr. Vincent. I've seen all of your films and found them very amusing.
Oh, thank you.
Who are these two?
Jerry and Amy lock eyes.
Attractive young people?
Well, Ed Thompson.
Ed.
Amy Peterson.
Jerry slowly approaches Amy, never taking his eyes off her, then bending low over her hand and kissing it.
Charmed. Isn't that what vampires are supposed to do, Charlie?
They all laugh, except Charlie.
Please.
He ushers Peter into the living room as Amy and Evil Ed stare after him.
That's some vampire, Brewster.
God, he's neat.
Please excuse the mess. I haven't finished unpacking.
Where do you keep your coffin? Or do you have more than one?
Charlie!
No, it's all right, Mr. Vincent. I'm quite used to it by now. As you may or may not know, Charlie even brought the police over a day ago.
Charlie, you didn't.
Damn right I did. Only they didn't believe me any more than any of you. But you'll believe me in a second. Mr. Vincent, give him the holy water.
Charlie, there's no reason to be rude about this.
Oh, it's perfectly all right, Mr. Vincent. Where is it?
Peter withdraws the vial from his pocket and hands it to Jerry. Jerry eyes it warily.
And you are sure that this is holy water?
Positive. I saw Father Scanlon bless it down at St. Mary's myself.
Charlie edges a cross out of his pocket.
Get ready to run. I'll protect you with this.
Jerry holds the vial up to the crackling fireplace. For the first time, nervousness creeping into his manner.
Well, bottoms up.
Jerry lifts his head back and downs the contents of the vial in one swallow. He turns to Peter triumphantly, puts the stopper back in the bottle, and goes to throw it in the fireplace. Peter clears his throat and shakes his head.
Ah.
He hands the vial back to Peter.
There. Satisfied?
Totally. Well, now, Charlie, you saw that. Are you convinced now that Mr. Dandridge is not a vampire?
It can't be.
But Charlie, you just saw it. You know as well as I do that no vampire can drink blessed water.
Then it wasn't blessed.
Are you calling me a liar, young man?
Charlie looks at Jerry. Jerry stares back at him.
If he's not a vampire, have him touch this.
Charley suddenly whips a cross from his pocket and holds it up to Jerry.
Oh, Charley, you've made a fool of yourself once. There's no reason to compound the error.
Yes, Charley. You've already caused your friends quite enough pain. You wouldn't want to cause them any more, would you?
Charley sees Dandridge coiling to spring, Billy sliding into place, blocking the doorway. Charley slowly edges the cross back into his pocket.
No. No, of course not.
And you're finally convinced I'm not a vampire either, right?
Their eyes lock. A moment passes.
Yes.
Jerry smiles at him as the tension flows out of the room.
Well, I'm glad that's settled.
Jerry puts his arm around Peter and leads him out of the room, followed by Amy and Evil Ed.
I can't tell you how much I appreciate this, Mr. Vincent. You've been a great help.
Oh, not at all. Glad to be of service.
It was really nice meeting both of you.
Charley moves to follow them out, but Billy steps in front of him, blocking his way. Charley runs out to join them. As the group stands by the door, Peter steps away, reaching into his coat pocket, pulling out his cigarette case.
Please, feel free to drop by anytime. You'll always be welcome.
I'd like that, Mr. Dandridge.
Oh, please. Call me Jerry.
Come on, let's get out of here.
Just a minute.
Peter opens his cigarette case, glancing at the mirror on the inside. He sees Amy, Evil Ed, and Charley grouped around where Jerry Dandridge should be standing, but he's not there.
Well, that goes for you too, Ed. I expect we have a lot of the same interests, you know, in horror movies and the occult.
Peter's head jerks up and he looks back at the doorway. Now he sees Jerry standing there. Peter looks back down at the mirror again. No Jerry. Peter's face goes slack as he lets out a gasp. He drops the case from his shaking hands. It smashes to the floor with a crash. Everyone turns and looks at him.
Something wrong, Mr. Vincent.
Peter hurriedly scoops up the case.
Oh, no, I felt a little... it's just my clumsiness.
Are you sure?
Yes, I'm positive. We've been taking up too much of your time. Thank you so much. Come along, everybody. Thank you. Bye-bye.
He hurriedly ushers the teenagers out the front door as Jerry watches. Exterior, Dandridge house, night. Peter plunges down the walk to his car.
What's wrong with you?
Nothing.
And why are you shaking?
I'm not shaking.
He hurriedly slides in behind the wheel, slamming the door. Charley leans down, speaking through the partially open window.
You saw something in there, didn't you? You saw something that convinced you he was a vampire.
Of course not.
Please, Mr. Vincent, you have to tell me. Our lives depend on it.
All right. He didn't cast a reflection in my mirror. Satisfied now?
The engine roars to life and he tears away.
Mr. Vincent, you have to call the police, Mr. Vincent! Shit!
Evil Ed starts to walk away.
Where you going, Pencil Dick?
Home?
No way, we walk Amy home first.
Interior, Dandridge house, night. Billy and Jerry peer out the window, watching the kids walk away from the house.
Looks just like her, doesn't she? One good thing, I'll never believe him now.
As Jerry takes a step, and we hear a crunch, he glances down to see a sliver of mirror from Peter's cracked cigarette case at his feet.
No.
Exterior, city street, night. Street lamps cast pools of bright light and deep shadows everywhere as the trio walk down the deserted street. Evil Ed stops before a shadow-draped alleyway.
Hey, let's cut through here.
No way, we want people and lights. The more the better.
Listen, Brewster. Vampires don't exist. Haven't you got that through your thick head yet?
What if you were wrong, Evil? What if Dandridge is a vampire and he thinks you know it? Would you walk down that alley then?
Evil Ed looks down the dark alley.
Screw you, Brewster.
Look, just come on. Please, just stick with us, all right?
Forget it. You may be chicken shit, but I'm not.
He heads down the alley and into the darkness.
What do we do?
Let him go. The vampire's gonna want him anyway. Probably give him blood poisoning.
Then a blood-curdling scream echoes out of the darkness. Charley and Amy dash headlong into the alley after him. They skid to a halt, finding Ed crumpled against a wall. They kneel by his side.
Are you all right?
Ed continues to whimper.
Damn it, I warned him.
He got me, Charley. He bit me. You know what you're gonna have to do now, don't you? Kill me. Kill me, Charley, before I turn into a vampire and give you a hickey.
He suddenly heaves himself at Charley, his mouth open, going for his throat as Charley jerks back, terrified. Ed is in hysterics, laughing loudly as Amy joins in.
You asshole.
You really believed me, you poor dope.
Get yours someday, Evil.
He grabs Amy's hand and walks back down the alley toward the lighted street.
Oh, yeah, when? When I'm bit by a vampire? There are no such things as vampires, fruitcake. Jeez.
He turns back down the alley. As the sound of wind, flapping wings are heard overhead. Then, suddenly, Jerry Dandridge steps out from a shadowy wall. Evil Ed walks along, feeling safe and secure. Then he hears it, footsteps behind, coming through the dark.
Charley? Amy? Is that you?
He hears nothing but those footsteps getting closer as he yells out with false bravery.
If that's you, it's not working. I'm not scared.
Jerry rounds a corner and stands looking at Evil Ed. Evil Ed turns and runs, smashing into traffic cans and falling to the ground. Jerry continues his steady stride toward the boy as Evil leaps to his feet. He's running for his life, and he knows it. He suddenly skids to a halt, facing a brick wall. He whirls, his breath coming in ragged gasps now, peering down the alleyway into the dark, listening to those footsteps getting closer and closer. He slowly backs away until he has no further to go, his back against the brick wall. The footsteps suddenly stop. He takes a step away from the wall, peering into the darkness with something like hope, praying that maybe Jerry Dandridge has given up. Then, popping up from behind him is Jerry, inches from him.
Hello, Edward.
Evil Ed turns to find Jerry standing right next to him. He backs away from the shadowy figure and slides to the cold pavement.
You don't have to be afraid of me. I know what it's like being different. Only they won't pick on you anymore or beat you up. I'll see to that. All you have to do is take my hand. Here, Edward. Take my hand.
He offers his hand. It's beautiful, perfectly shaped with thin, elegant fingers, tapering to 5 gleaming, razor-sharp points. Evil Ed slowly reaches out and takes the vampire's hand. Jerry smiles at him and slowly leans down, lifting him up into the last embrace Edward Thompson will ever know. Charley and Amy walk quickly as suddenly a death rattle, long and high-pitched, pierces the night, echoing through the city streets, down alleyways and across apartment buildings, stopping them in their tracks.
What was that?
It's just Evil messing around again. Cut it out, Evil! Not funny!
Amy, what if Evil was really in trouble?
Charley, you're not gonna let him sucker you in again, are you?
She wraps his arm around her and they start to walk, when suddenly all the streetlights go out, plunging them into darkness.
Tell me it's a power outage.
Well, what else would it be?
They pass by a light pole to see a power box, its contents shredded and on fire. Then the sound of huge wings beating and wind rushing overhead as a huge shadow passes by. They dash down the street. They race around a corner to see the club radio, a fashionable disco. Its entrance is jammed with people, all of them dressed to the teeth. Charley runs to the entrance, dragging Amy after him just as Jerry appears around the corner behind them, relaxed, in no great hurry, a hunter sure of his kill. They take off and run down a side street, stopping to see Jerry now standing in front of them. The only escape is a ramp, and they take it running up to the top. Jerry blocks their escape. Charley glances to his right to see an open window where a cook is preparing food. Charley grabs Amy, pushes her first through the window, and then jumps in after her. He and Amy race through the madhouse of a kitchen, a cook glancing up from chopping lettuce as they tear past. Interior, club radio, night.
Hey, you can't come in here.
They burst through the door and disappear into a crush of people. They fight their way through the sea of dancers, Charley dragging Amy to a payphone and dropping in a coin.
Who are you calling?
The police.
Interior, Peter's apartment, night. Peter sits in a chair, cowering, his cross clenched firmly in his hand. Suddenly, there's a knock at his locked and barred door.
Who is it?
It's me, Evil Ed.
What do you want?
Hurry! There's a vampire out here. Let me in!
He jumps from his chair, unlocks his numerous locks, and pulls Evil Ed into the room. Evil Ed has changed. His skin is more sallow, huge dark circles under his eyes, his lips bloodless, his collar pulled up tightly around his neck.
What are we going to do?
Now, what are you gonna do?
Peter stares at him as Evil Ed slowly reaches up and pulls down the collar of his shirt, revealing 2 small puncture marks on his throat. Peter's eyes widen in horror. Evil Ed's smile only grows wider, exposing razor-sharp fangs.
Not me!
He lunges toward Peter as Peter jumps away.
I used to admire you. You know that? Of course! That was before I found out what a fake you were. Peter Vincent! The great vampire killer! Indeed!
He throws himself at Peter, shrieking, jumping on his back, opening his mouth wide to sink his fangs into him. Peter grabs the cross from his pocket and thrusts it directly into Evil Ed's face, slamming it squarely between his eyes. His skin sizzles and cracks, smoke rising. Evil Ed backs away, his hands held to his face, falling onto a corner. Evil Ed drops his hands from his face, revealing the sign of the cross branded into his forehead. He turns to look into the wall mirror, but there's no reflection.
What have you done to me?
He takes a step toward Peter, and Peter thrusts the cross at him, backing Evil Ed up. Back!
The Master will kill you for this, but not fast. Slowly. Oh, so slowly.
Back! I say back!
Evil Ed snarls at him like some feral animal and suddenly throws himself headlong out the window in an explosion of shattering glass, leaving Peter gasping for breath. Club radio, night. Charley slams the phone back into its cradle in frustration.
He doesn't believe me.
I'm scared, Charley. I'm really scared.
I'm not gonna let him get you, Amy, I promise. You got Peter Vincent's number?
He doesn't care about us. I paid him to be there today.
It doesn't matter, Amy. We don't have any choice. Now give me his number.
Sweeping through the front door of the club and moving toward the dance floor like a god among mere mortals, walks Jerry Dandridge. The colored lights of the dance floor highlight his hair, accentuating his gracefulness. Charley stands at the phone, waiting for Peter to pick up. Amy looks out onto the dance floor, catching a glimpse of Jerry appearing and disappearing as he moves through the dancers. She is drawn closer, Jerry disappearing again, only to magically appear before her. He stops just at the edge of the floor and holds his hand out to her, the pounding, sensual beat of the funk rock washing over them both. His eyes burn into hers, willing her to come over to him. She can't help but take his hand as she glides out onto the dance floor.
Look, you gotta help me. Dandridge has me and Amy trapped in this club downtown.
Peter cowers, frozen with terror.
No, Charley. I'm sorry. I just can't do that.
Mr. Vincent, you've gotta come. Come on, you're the only one who knows what's going on.
Interior, club radio, dance floor, night. Amy turns and moves away from Jerry, but stops as he comes up behind her, slowly running his hands down her body, slipping a hand between her legs and twirling her about, only to let her slide down his body to the floor. She rises, already physically changing as the heat between them builds, her hair more swept back, her cotton blouse now silk, clinging to her body. She tries to move away from him through the dancers, but the attraction is too strong. Her clothes and hair continue to change. Amy, the girl next door, more and more the girl of Jerry's thirsty dreams. As they dance, their bodies press against each other. She throws back her head, exposing her smooth, arcing throat. Jerry pulls back her collar and bends down, his fangs beginning to lengthen. Just as he's about to sink them deep, she jerks back, meeting his eyes again. She melts and pulls her collar back for him. She steps forward, slowly sinking to her knees in front of him, a supplicant worshiping her demon lover. Jerry looks down at her and lifts her to her feet, spinning her about in a mad dance that takes them past a wall of floor-length mirrors. Amy can't help but look at herself in her desire, only to realize he isn't in the mirror, only she. He's about to penetrate her with his fangs, when Charley is suddenly there, grabbing Jerry and pulling him back.
Let her go!
Jerry looks down at Charley, then slowly turns and plants a sensual kiss on Amy.
You filthy son of a bitch!
Charley swings at Jerry, who catches Charley's fist in the palm of his hand, forcing him to his knees.
You shouldn't lose your temper, Charley. It isn't polite.
He tightens his grip, slowly squeezing Charley's fist, the knuckle bones grinding as Charley's face contorts in agony.
You can't kill me here!
I don't want to kill you, Charley.
He squeezes harder, causing Charley to cry out in pain.
I want you to bring Peter Vincent to my house. Just the two of you. That is, if you ever want to see Amy again.
He shoves the boy to the floor as he disappears with Amy into the swirling mass of dancers. Charley reappears behind him, grabbing his shoulder.
Let her go!
Just then, two bouncers approach. One pulls Charley and Amy away, leaving the other to face Jerry.
She's mine.
You want chicken, man? You go someplace else.
Out of my way.
Move me.
Jerry snarls. His eyes glowing, the hint of fangs beginning to protrude over his upper lip. The nails on his fingers pop out into razor-sharp claws. Bouncer number one screams as the talons whistle through the air, tearing the bouncer's throat out with one swipe. Jerry's hand snaps out, grabbing the other bouncer, lifting him in the air, then flinging him onto the dance floor. Pandemonium erupts, people stampeding toward the front door. Charley and Amy fight their way through the madness and down the stairs. As the wave of panicked humanity sweeps toward them, they are separated as Charley fights to get back to her.
Amy! Amy!
He watches Amy get swallowed up into the terror-stricken mob when suddenly she is scooped up by Jerry. He pauses for a moment to look up at Charley, who is helpless to do anything, pulling her away with him.
Amy!
Exterior, club radio, night. Charley bursts to the entrance of the club just in time to see the black Jeep roaring away down the street. Evil Ed peering out the back window, pointing at him and laughing wildly. Interior, Peter Vincent's apartment, hallway, night. Charley runs to Peter's door, banging on it.
Peter! Peter, open the door!
Who is it?
It's me, Charley Brewster. Let me in, come on.
The door cracks open an inch, a chain across the latch.
Are you one of them?
What are you talking about?
Here, grab this.
Peter thrusts his cross out through the crack as Charley does as told. No smoke. He hurriedly pulls the boy inside. Peter relatches the door and hurries back to his packing.
Peter, we don't have very much time. Dandridge chased me and Amy all over town. He trapped us in this place called Club... What are you doing?
I'm leaving.
You can't.
Just watch me.
But Dandridge has Amy. He says he's gonna kill her unless we come to his house.
Peter stops and stares at Charley, stunned.
Oh my God. The police. I'll call the police.
Oh, Peter, no, they won't believe you. I've tried. Peter, it's just us. We're going to have to save Amy.
I can't. I was paid to be there today.
I know.
And you still want me to help you?
Yes. You're Peter Vincent, The great vampire killer.
That is a character in a movie. It isn't even my real name. I'm terrified. I'm sorry, Charlie, but I am.
I can't do it alone, Peter. If you don't help me, Amy's going to die. Me too, probably. Please, Peter.
I'm sorry, Charlie.
Interior, Dandridge house, bedroom, night. A hand places a cassette into a player and pushes play. Amy, now dressed in a thin chiffon gown, lies on the floor. As the pulsing music permeates the room, Amy regains consciousness, opening her eyes, searching the room, landing on the painting of a woman that looks just like her.
She's someone I knew a long time ago.
Jerry turns away from the window, weaving his way across the floor toward her, every move a suggestion, an invitation.
Where am I? Where's Charlie?
He slowly removes his shirt, joining her on the floor. He gently pushes her head down on his shoulder, exposing her tender young neck, kissing her as he goes. And then he slowly bends down, his mouth opening to expose those two razor-sharp fangs. She goes to speak, but he stops her, then traces her lips with his finger. Their gaze locked. She removes the top of her gown, letting it fall to the floor as they kiss passionately. He kisses her neck, then rears back, sinking his fangs into her. Her body arches, both arms pressing him to her body clinging to his. She bucks under him like a sexual climax, only better. Much better. And just underneath her moans of ecstasy is a horrid, greedy, sucking noise. Jerry Dandridge, feeding, as two thin strands of blood slowly run down the back of her alabaster skin. End Act 2.
Yes. Ladies and gentlemen, lunch is back out where we had charcuterie, so we'll do a longer break, have some lunch.
I have an announcement as a memento, and to say thank you to all of you for what you've done. Behind your scripts is a hardcover copy of Fright Night, and everybody has signed it. So take it home with you.
Nice.
Hold it close and enjoy it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tom. Thank you, Tom.
Thank you. Thank you.
Recap, Act 2. Waiting to go live on air.
Oh no, they found another body of a young woman early this morning in back of the Sheraton Wall. She was decapitated like the other two. Who wants to hear this kind of news?
As if answering her question.
Not me. I've been sitting here in my tiny apartment, my bag packed to flee, and I can't do it. I can't leave Charlie and Amy to the horror of Jerry Dandridge and his ghouls, Billy Cole, and now Evil Ed. I have to help Charlie save Amy, but I'm so terrified I can't do it. But if I don't, I'll have to admit to myself that my entire professional life as an actor has been a lie. Oh, Charlie, the tears are welling up in me. My vampire hunting kit. Where is it? Ah, here it is. I have it in my hand. Now all I had to do was go forth. Oh, Lord, please help me. For my sake and theirs, I go to fight the undead. Now, one foot in front of the other.
As his footsteps proceed across the room and the door opens and closes, another voice is heard, this one dripping with hatred and rage, for himself as well as others.
He's coming, Peter Vincent. I can feel him. As well as that boy, Charley Brewster. I gave him a choice, something I never had, but he selected to fight me, and now his fate is sealed. Well, I'm wiring for it to save Amy, a girl who is my love reborn, not his, and so many centuries ago. I have to destroy both him and the Montebac actor to survive and perhaps save her. I'm cursed, with no one but myself to blame. But I will save her by making her one of my own. And that fool Peter Vincent, his courage will fail, and if it doesn't, I will destroy him. And the boy. Yeah, I will destroy him too. If I have to. Even if I hate myself for doing it.
And so, now into the third act and the end of Fright Night. Though I suspect, as does Jerry Dandridge, once known as Geralt del Cattura, that it will never end. Exterior, Dandridge House, night. Charlie walks through the darkness with cross and stake held in his hands, slowly approaching the Dandridge house, Charlie growing more and more nervous with every passing second. He stops to stare at the huge, silent house. It seems to have assumed a life of its own, turning into a hulking monster. Charlie grips his stake and hammer and checks his cross, squares his shoulders, and starts the slow walk toward the brooding house. Suddenly, a hand snaps out of the darkness, grabbing him by the shoulder.
Peter Vincent, ready to do battle with the undead.
He is dressed as the vampire killer, his kit slung over his shoulder. He hands Charlie his box of movie props and opens it.
Peter, this is serious.
I am serious. Let's see now. Flashlight, stakes, hammer. Ah, yes, a cross.
What about Billy Cole? How are you going to stop him?
Peter pulls out a pistol from the box.
With this, it is from Orgy of the Damned.
What if he's not human? Bullets aren't going to stop him then?
He walks around in the daylight, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Then he is human. Come on.
Peter marches toward the house, followed by Charlie.
Peter, you don't have to do this. I want to thank...
Not now.
But Peter's eyes are on the malevolent house as he begins to slow, his nerve draining away.
What's wrong?
Nothing. Nothing at all.
The two of them start toward the house, but Peter stops, grabbing Charlie.
Are you crazy? Not the front door. Let's go around to the back. Sneak in.
The front door slowly swings open on creaking hinges, a dark gaping hole like an open mouth, ready to swallow them.
Too late.
I am Peter Vincent, the great vampire killer. I am Peter Vincent, the great vampire killer.
They disappear into the house, the door slamming behind them. Interior, Dandridge House, night. Charlie and Peter stop and stare into the darkness. Charlie nods up at the grand staircase to a balcony at the top, a circular eye of multicolored glass staring down.
This way.
The sound of wings flapping as they start up the stairs.
Wait. Did you hear something?
No.
Let's come back at dawn. He'll be asleep then, and we'll have a better chance of getting Amy.
And Amy will be dead by then, too. Now, come on.
Charlie turns to start up the stairs, only to hear the sound of nails scraping along the banister from above. Jerry steps forward into the light, his talons lifting the varnish as he walks.
Welcome to Fright Night. For real?
Oh, yeah! That was my favorite line. Sorry.
Where's Amy?
Up here. All you have to do is to get by me.
Peter whips out his cross, thrusting it at the vampire.
Back! Spawn of Satan!
Really?
He reaches out, takes the cross from Peter's hand, and crumples it, contemptuously tossing it aside.
You have to have faith for this to work on me, Mr. Vincent.
He starts down the stairs again. Peter backs away, terrified. Charlie steps forward, staring up at Dandridge. He thrusts his cross at the vampire.
Stop! Back!
Jerry backs away from the cross, disappearing into darkness. Charlie glances back at Peter.
We're gonna make it.
Suddenly, Billy Cole steps out of the darkness in front of Charlie and viciously backhands him across the face. With a scream, Charley goes over the stairway railing, plunging to the hallway floor below. Jerry appears in back of Billy, leaning on him and smiling down at Peter on the stairway. Peter, terrified, tears down the steps and out the front door. Interior, Brewster house, night. Peter smashes through the front door, yelling up the stairway.
Mrs. Brewster? Mrs. Brewster!
He grabs the phone from the table and punches out a number.
Operator, get me the...
No dial tone. He holds the phone up only to see the cord has been ripped from the wall.
Mrs. Brewster!
He races up the stairs and bursts through the door of Judy's room to see her in bed, the back of her head to him.
Mrs. Brewster, thank God. The phone wires have been cut.
He reaches out, turning her over on the bed to face him. Only it isn't Judy.
I know. I know. I did it.
Where is Charley's mother?
Evil Ed whips off his wig, gleefully dropping it to the floor.
Well, apparently she's working nights. But she left a note. His dinner's in the oven!
Evil Ed roars and lunges at Peter as Peter races out of the room and down the hallway, only to hit a table in the dark, crashing to the floor on the landing, the table splintering beneath him. He suddenly hears a growling, low and deep and vicious, coming from the other end of the hallway. A huge wolf appears out of the master bedroom. Its eyes glow like red-hot coals in the dark, saliva dripping from its huge fangs. With a terrible snarl, the huge animal bounds down the hall toward him. Peter screams and picks up a splintered leg of the table just as the wolf launches itself into the air, as Peter slams the jagged piece of wood into the animal's chest, its snapping jaws missing his throat by inches. The beast hits the railing, plunging over the side in a blur of fur and fangs, hitting the chandelier and crashing down into the floor below. The wolf lays there, the long wooden splinter buried in his heart. Peter hurries down the stairs, stopping above him and watching in fascinated horror as his limbs regenerate, becoming more human. Evil Ed, part wolf, part boy, is changing back as he tries desperately to remove the stake impaled in his chest. He falls over, struggling, the humanity leaking back into his eyes, his face transforming into that of a normal teenage boy. He looks up at Peter, reaching out to him, trying to speak, and then he dies. Interior, Dandridge house, bedroom, night. Jerry comes through the door with Charley over his shoulder and dumps him on the floor where Amy lies, curled up in a fetal ball.
You wanted her. There she is.
He nods at Amy as Charley opens his eyes, regaining his senses, just as Jerry plunges a wooden stake into the floor.
Here. You're gonna need it. Just before dawn.
Charley sees Amy lying there, her body trembling.
What have you done to her?
Jerry exits, the sound of the key turning in the lock as Charley crouches over her.
Amy?
Jerry is whistling, then stops on the stairs and waits and waits. Bedroom, night.
Amy?
Charley turns Amy over, revealing that she has already begun to change, her upper lip slipping back, the beginnings of fangs.
No!
Interior, stairway, night. Jerry pauses, listening to the agony in Charley's voice as the scream dies away, smiles, then continues on. Interior, Brewster house, night. Peter stands, looking down at the young man that Evil Ed once was, slowly pulling the stake out of his chest. His mission clear as he heads out the door. Exterior, Dandridge house, night. Peter faces the brooding house, his stake and hammer in hand. A quick moment of doubt crosses his face. Then he brings the stake up, his face now set hard with determination. Interior, Dandridge house, night. He slips through the front door, grabbing his vampire killer kit, pausing to look down the hall. The basement door is open, the sounds of Jerry and Billy working down there faintly heard. He hurries up the stairs. At the top of the stairs, Peter can hear Charley crying from behind a door, and he quietly raps on it.
Charley? Charley?
Charley springs to his feet, hurrying to the door.
Peter? Charley, I'm going to have to break the door down. You make as much noise as you can.
Charley beats on the wall and yelling for all he's worth.
Help! Help! Let me out! Help!
Basement, night. Jerry and Billy are preparing a spare coffin for Amy, dumping dirt into it. They pause in their work as they hear Charley screaming. Jerry smiles and takes a bite of his apple.
I think she just opened her eyes.
Bedroom, night. Peter leans into the bedroom door, snapping the lock, letting himself in, seeing Amy.
Grab her. Let's get out of here.
We can't. Look.
He rolls Amy over. She is covered with sweat and trembling more violently now. Her upper lip slips back, revealing lengthening fangs and the beginning of red in her eyes.
Oh my God.
Basement, night. Jerry looks up.
Something wrong?
Yes. We have a visitor.
They head for the stairs. Bedroom, night.
Is it too late to save her?
No. Not if we kill Dandridge before dawn.
Are you sure?
So far, everything has been like it was in the movies. We'll just have to keep hoping.
Exterior, Dandridge house, night. At the bedroom window, the sound of heavy breathing, watching Peter and Charley grab their wooden stakes. Jerry is out there, clinging to the wall, upside down, watching them.
Let's go.
Charley and Peter hurrying out the door as Amy trembles on the floor, changing, losing her humanity. Interior, stairway, night. Charley and Peter come out of the bedroom and start down the steps only to find themselves facing Billy Cole coming up from below.
Well, what do we have here? Vampire killers?
Peter pulls a pistol, one of the props from his apartment, from his pocket.
Stop, or I'll shoot.
Billy just shrugs and continues up the stairs.
I mean it. Don't force me to shoot.
Billy is just feet away from them as Peter fires, the bullet punching a neat hole through Billy's forehead, throwing him backward and tumbling down the stairs. The sound of approaching footsteps on the balcony above. Peter and Charley stare up at Jerry stepping out of the shadows. Charley thrusts his cross up at Dandridge.
Stop!
Jerry whirls away with a wail, covering his face.
Come on, we have him.
Jerry Dandridge's gaze snaps past Charley's shoulder, burning into Billy's corpse.
Do you?
He turns and disappears into the darkness.
What did he mean by that?
Nothing. He was just bluffing.
They continue up the stairs as behind them, Billy snaps up and begins to walk up the stairs, the first step groaning under him. Charley and Peter freeze. They see the huge man coming up the stairs toward them, a thin trail of blood leaking from the bullet hole in his forehead. Peter whips his pistol out and unloads the entire revolver into Billy, the smoke obscuring their view of the stairway below. A thud. Then, nothing. They begin to think they've killed him. Then more stairs creak as a pair of hands emerge from the smoke. Then Billy reappears, going for Peter, grabbing him and jerking him into the air like a rag doll, about to fling him over the balustrade.
No!
Charley slams his stake into the creature's heart. Billy drops Peter, crashing to the steps, and staggers back, hanging there, the stake protruding from his heart. Green goo begins leaking onto the steps as the two watch in horror. Cole's hands bend backwards as they dissolve, his face and body putrefying as the seconds tick past. The legs turn to bone, dust falling out of the smoking clothes. What remains of the body, no more than a skeleton. It tumbles backward down the stairs with a clatter, landing with a crash on the floor below, the smoking skull skittering across the floor.
Amy!
Bedroom, night. They rush into Amy's room. Charley hurries to Amy, kneeling by her side. He gently turns her over to see her continuing to make the transition from the living to the undead.
Amy?
Peter glances out the window. Searching for Jerry as above him, the vampire clings flat to the wall. Jerry slowly draws back his clawed hand to tear Peter's throat out.
Peter!
Peter turns back just as Jerry is within inches of striking.
She's worse. Come on, we're running out of time.
The two men rush out of the room as the sound of flapping wings move away from the window and up the side of the house. Exterior, roof, night. Jerry lands like some huge nocturnal bird of prey.
Amy, awake! I command you to awake!
Bedroom, night. Amy lies on the floor, hardly moving. She begins to groan, throwing a hand over her face. Roof, night.
Tell me how much you love me, Amy. Kill them both!
He roars in frustration and slams his elbow into the side of the chimney, crushing it. Bedroom, night. Her eyes open with a start. There's not a vestige of human life left in them. Second floor, night. Charley and Peter hear a crash above. They look up at the ceiling.
He's on the roof.
I'm going up there.
Charley rushes to the stairs, followed by Peter. Suddenly, the sound of Amy screaming. Peter runs to her as Amy turns and growls at her, causing her to shrink away, then running to the stairs as Jerry, unseen, looms outside the window.
Charley!
He's not up there.
He points to the window.
Look out!
Peter looks out the window to see Jerry snarling just inches away. Jerry pulls away outside, disappearing into the darkness.
He's going downstairs.
Charley!
He runs after Charley, when behind him there is suddenly a violent pounding at the bedroom door. What used to be Amy is trying to get out. Charley runs down the hallway toward the basement as the huge stained glass window above Peter bursts apart in an explosion of shattering glass, Jerry plunging in from the outside. Charley rushes in.
Stay back!
Charley freezes as Dandridge takes a step toward Peter, but Peter whips out a cross, thrusting it at him.
Back!
Jerry stops, first covering himself, then laughing at him.
You have to have faith for that to work, Mr. Vincent. Remember?
Peter continues to hold his ground as the vampire jerks to a halt, staring with slowly dawning fury at Peter. Peter peers over his shoulder, out the ruined window. On the horizon, the first pink tendrils of dawn are breaking, the clocks in the wall chiming, signaling that it's 6 a.m. Dawn.
You're out of time, Mr. Dandridge. Look over your shoulder.
As the first ray of sunlight hits him, he throws himself off the landing, hurtling through the air. His shape transforms, no longer a man, but now an enormous bat. Peter runs down the stairs, pushing Charley aside as the bat goes for him, throwing him to the stairs and going for his throat. Peter jams the wooden stake in the bat's jaws as it violently gnaws away at it. Charley jumps up to help Peter as the bat turns and sinks his fangs deep into a screaming Charley's arm. Peter pulls it back into an errant shift of light coming from the shattered window.
Jack, can you take that sentence again? Peter pulls it back into an errant shaft of light.
So just Peter pulls it, yes? Into a shaft? Okay. Yeah, gotcha. All right. Charley jumps up to help Peter as the bat turns and sinks his fangs deep into a screaming Charley's arm. Peter pulls it back into an errant shaft of light coming from the shattered window. The screaming bat pulls back and flies down the hallway, knocking over a sculpture and disappearing into the darkness.
Are you all right?
Yeah. Quick, he's in the basement. Hey. Pardon me. He's in the basement. I'm injured. Maybe I'm not all right. Yeah. Quick, he's in the basement.
He helps the boy to his feet, the two of them disappearing through the basement door. Basement, dawn. Charley and Peter hurry down the stairs into the dark room, the floor a mass of antiques, its windows painted black to keep out the light.
Quick, his coffin. It's got to be here somewhere.
As they search the basement, the faint sound of a door creaking open.
What was that?
You keep searching, I'll check it out.
Charley appears down a row of antiques, stopping and staring up at the basement door above. It's open, allowing a sliver of light into the darkness. From out of the darkness, Amy appears, a shadow, stopping and leaning into the doorway.
Amy, it's me.
I know.
Peter, looking for a release on a huge piece of furniture, finds a latch revealing a hidden alcove and Jerry's ornate coffin.
Charley, I found it.
Don't be frightened, Charley.
Hurry, Peter, get it open.
He's locked it from the inside.
What's wrong? Don't you want me anymore?
Coming to his senses, he raises up his cross, thrusting it in her face as Amy whirls away with a snarl. Burying her face in her hands, softly beginning to weep.
It's not my fault, Charley. You promised you wouldn't let him get me. You promised!
Charley stares at her, guilt boiling up inside him. Charley steps forward, touching her shoulder, letting his cross drop to his side.
Amy.
She lifts her head to reveal a face full of huge, razor-sharp fangs, flashing, dripping hungry saliva. She whirls and dives for his exposed throat, pushing him into a pile of furniture. She grabs at him. He tries to dodge Amy, but she leaps forward, blocking his escape. Back at the dais, Peter is pounding at the coffin clasp, trying to free it when finally it breaks. Charley leaps over a pile of refuse in his desperation to escape. The girl vampire pounces on him, struggling to sink her fangs in his neck. Peter throws the coffin lid open, sees Jerry resting beneath him, the king vampire's eyes closed. He raises his hammer, about to slam the stake home.
Peter!
Jerry's eyes snap open, Peter finding himself face to face with the enraged vampire. Jerry snarls at him as Peter slams the stake home, missing Jerry's heart, the stake protruding from his shoulder as the vampire rises up out of his coffin. Dandridge pulls the stake from his chest and hurls it away, sending it smashing into a far wall, shattering a small hole in a blacked-out window and sending a thin ray of light spearing into the room. Charley reaches for the blacked-out window. Amy desperately tries to stop him as he knocks her back. Jerry smashing Peter into a wall, his hands around his neck. Charley breaks another window, sending a bolt of sunlight streaming into the dank room. Jerry tries, but cannot touch Peter, the sunlight protecting him. Charley smashes another window as Jerry approaches him. Peter breaks another window, trapping Jerry between its beams. Jerry runs to his coffin, but Peter beats him to it, slamming it shut with a thud as he arrives. Peter tries to run, but Jerry jumps over the coffin, blocking his escape and laughing triumphantly. Jerry moves in for the kill, just as Charley pulls a blackout curtain from another window, hitting Jerry squarely in the chest, picking him up and throwing him across the entire length of the room and pinning him against the far wall, several feet above the floor. He writhes in the golden beam, twisting this way and that, but unable to escape as his body leaps into flames, a million small fires breaking out all over him. Charley runs to Amy and jumps on her to protect her as what is left of Jerry lets out one final death rattle, blowing out all the remaining basement windows in a cataclysm of fire and wind. The vampire's body explodes in a whooshing ball of flame that incinerates him instantly, leaving nothing behind but the echoing scream of a soul finally going to hell. Peter and Charley help Amy up, the girl he knew staring back at him, her fangs gone. She throws herself in his arms, weeping as Charley grabs Peter and pulls him into their embrace. Dissolved to, exterior, Dandridge and Brewster houses, night. The Dandridge house is dark, a for sale sign prominently displayed on the front lawn. The dark house now seems innocuous and ordinary, free forever of the evil that once dwelt within. There are a few lights on in the Brewster house, much as it was on the first night. And from Charley's bedroom window, the TV can be heard coming from inside.
Look, we've been going in a circle.
We're right back where we started from.
Interior, Brewster house, Charlie's room, night. Charlie and Amy lay on his bed, making out. The TV tuned into Fright Night. They break for a moment as Peter Vincent comes up on the screen.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Fright Night Theater.
This is Peter Vincent, back once more with you as the host of Fright Night. I thought I'd let the vampires rest for a little while. Right, Charlie? Tonight, the threat comes not from beyond the grave, but from beyond the stars, as alien beings stalk an unwary summer camp in Mars Wants Flesh. I do not star in it.
Screams and gnashing of teeth from the television as Charlie smiles, gets up, and turns it off. As he heads back, he casually glances out his window and freezes. There in Jerry's window, looking back at him, are a pair of red, glowing eyes. But they are quickly gone. He moves to the window, studying, watching. Nothing but darkness.
Charlie? Something wrong?
He smiles and shakes it off.
Nothing.
He jumps back onto the bed with Amy. The two of them begin to make love as we move off and push out through the window, closing in on Jerry's window across the way. The pair of red eyes reappear there in the darkness.
Oh, you're so cool, Brewster.
Fade out. The end.
Bravo!
Billy's melting. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. Truly, we wanted with you guys, because we know how much this means to you, to give this gift to Tom, and it really is.